welcome to another episode of This Is Our Beer. You know why it's our beer, Doug? Because it isn't our fucking year this year. It is not our year. So, let's just jump right into the beer. What are you drinking today?
Hey, you might have heard of this, and it's technically not beer, so I guess that I should have done something else this week. But
Are you drinking hard kombucha?
no, I am
That's a
not
very
that LA.
California thing.
I told you I'm
Yeah.
not that LA. Someday,
And you don't
uh,
ever want to be there.
LA proper, you're probably right.
No, it's disgusting. I would never live in LA.
Yeah. I thought you meant the kombucha. I'm all mixed
Or
up.
drink kombucha. Who drinks hard kombucha like it's a good idea? It's a fad. It's gonna go away really fast because it
Perverts.
tastes like shit.
Well, we'll see. Have you heard of this shit? And I'm sorry, it's not shit. So this is Long Drink, and Jenny heard about it on a Ringer podcast actually.
Okay.
It's called the Finnish Long Drink, as in Finland. Now,
Okay.
the legend of 1952, they hosted the Winter Games, I believe, and they had been kind of wrecked by World War II, and they had no idea how to like host a bunch of people. So they came up with this drink recipe really quick. They could serve it to everybody, and it's I guess the original was gin based. I don't know if there's gin in here. Actually, there is gin in here. It's described as a traditional citrus drink, gin with natural grapefruit and juniper and berry flavors and carbonization. It's gluten free, so you might like it. And I think it tastes like Fresca, though. I don't taste the gin.
Okay.
If people know what Fresca is,
I know what. I mean, who doesn't know what Fresca is, Doug?
I
It's
don't know,
2023. That is a nationwide drink. Maybe in the middle parts of America they don't, because that's not what we drink here in Texas.
Yeah, I was thinking that I know Fresca either from A, when I lived in the South for a bit, or B, back when I was alive in the 1950s, because
You drank Fresca. You drank Fresca when you lived with Norm Curlin, because Norm Curlin always had a bottle of orange Fresca at the house.
Orange Fresca, that's right.
Yes.
So anyway,
yes.
This is like the standard Fresca, which looks like this.
Yes, the yellow one.
Yep. So cheers, man.
Maybe it was Fanta actually. Maybe I'm misspeaking.
Yeah,
it was
that
orange
sounds right.
Fanta. Yeah.
Or
All right. So cool. Well, I am also drinking today because it's been fucking Doug.
God,
not
yeah,
only
it's been a week, man.
it's not only been a long week for sports, it's been a long week for work. Yeah. The first week of February, I don't know if everyone's just getting over that January hangover, but I've been getting kicked in the dick all week long. So, yay. So I had
2023, honestly. So
I have some leftover David Arthur. I think we drank David Arthur a few times on here. I'm a repeat offender because I like the vineyards I like, and I have this fridge here, which that is probably my favorite prized possession, and that is filled with wine.
Yep.
And yeah, so David Arthur is one of the wines that's inside that fridge, and we're gonna drink a Nebbiolo, which is a Italian varietal, Italian grape that they grew in Napa. I don't know. I'm gonna finish this bottle off that we opened a couple nights ago because I've already had a few. I'm not gonna lie, it's Friday. I've had a few already.
An expensive earbud into my drink, so yeah, I'm doing well too, man.
Yeah.
I think everybody's had a very, very long week. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. You know, though, I will say no one's had a longer week than that fucking mullet kid at the Dallas Stars game this week.
Yeah, that was a journey yesterday, huh?
That was definitely a journey, but that kid definitely had the audacity to. Apparently, he was sitting in the guy's seats, and the guy wanted him to move or something along those lines. And the kid was probably my size, and I'm 5'9", 185 on a good day. And the guy he was going after was probably.
I think you're bigger than that dude, than Joe Dirt. But
well, sure. I'm just trying to give context. And the guy was probably 6'4", like 300. And he ran it. The little kid ran his mouth at the old, and the guy was probably in his 50s, and the kid was probably like 20.
He had a friggin' Bluetooth piece in.
Yeah, he did. I thought it was security for a second, and
the dry fit polo.
Oh, dude, he walloped that. He wound up and hit that kid right in the mouth, and that kid does.
That's why I think he might have pulled it a little. You know.
that kid deserved it, though. That kid definitely
Well,
deserved it.
you're not even telling the beginning of the story. Did you see that? Like, this is a whole odyssey. Did you see the kid? That first of all, that was a nationally broadcast game on like TNT or ESPN. And in the pregame, they actually showed him, and he's showing off his mullet, and he did a nice little look, and he showed his jersey, and it was actually like he pulled it off, and it was part of like
Yeah.
their pregame promo. So when the video first dropped on Twitter, and it was the unedited video with the audio where you could unfortunately hear what the guy said and what caused him to get decked in the face, and it was deserved. But God, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so in the original audio, original video, right? Uh, all the comments underneath, other than like the obvious stuff, were like, "Yo, dude, I think I saw him on the pregame, yo." Like, like that kid had a night,
Yes.
highs
But
and
yeah.
lows. But the
Yes,
whole
he did.
let's talk about the worst part. They're like, someone was like, little boy, like calm down. Once he was down and getting just like
Yes.
arm locked, they were like stroking his hair, calling him little. Oh man,
Yes.
how do you
I
come
mean,
back
dude,
from that?
but he
How do you
asked
come
for it.
back
I
from?
mean,
Oh,
he told him he was gonna box the dude. He said, step down here and I'll box you." And then he called him like a
he said step off or
dumbass
step
N word.
off. Yeah.
Right, right. And then dude just clocked him and put him on his ass. It was great. It was great.
He had
So hey, hey, white boy Rick,
hey
shout out
white
to
boy
you.
Rick,
Shout out to you.
real
But
American
Doug, we got
heroes.
yes, definitely only in Dallas. But let's
Well, Florida too.
fair enough. Fair enough. Lots of places in this country.
Lots of them,
Let's be honest. So we've had quite a week though. Let's get it back
dude.
on sports track.
Are you okay?
I
Like, why are you decked out?
It's the first time in a long time I'm actually proud to wear
Oh, you're
this.
okay. So you're excited. Go
No,
ahead.
I am not excited. I am, but what am I going to do? What I've learned through the last week is that once again, the NBA players could give a fuck about the NBA fans. The NBA players could give a fuck about the team they play for. The NBA players give a fuck about getting paid. And we'll take it back to a week ago. A week ago, the New Jersey Brooklyn Nets were in fifth place, 5.5, 6.5 games behind the Celtics. And when KD was healthy and Kyrie was healthy, they looked like they could challenge anybody in the East.
Yeah.
KD got hurt about
On
a
paper.
month on pay. No, even in the games. I mean, we beat with a healthy squad. We were beaten pretty much. We had like a 11-game win streak. I mean, we were one of the hottest teams in the league. KD plays Jimmy Butler, dirty ass player, hits his knee, and KD goes out again with MCL sprain, like the second or third year in a row, whatever it is. I don't even fucking know. And so he goes out. Kyrie then is now the guy, and Kyrie's playing the best basketball he's played in Brooklyn in the last 4 years. Trade deadline was yesterday, February 9th. Kyrie then comes to the table and says, "Give me the full max deal, or I'm not playing another game for you this year. I'm sitting out the rest of the year." It's not like we were in last place. It's not like we were in like wherever we were. We were in striking distance. KD is about a month away from returning at the most. We probably won't be able to challenge for the top spot in the East, but top four, I think we'll get home field in the first, round at the very least. And then Kyrie makes it all about him and the money. We offered him numerous different options that would have triggered a full guaranteed contract if we won a championship, whatever. You want to complain about that? Fine. But then we go and trade him to Dallas. And we get Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian
Your old
Finney-Smith.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah, a first round pick and a second round pick. A first round totally unprotected in 2029 and a second round pick in I think 2029 as well. So we're gambling on the future of Dallas in 6 years being not great. Um, so then,
I mean, is Luca gonna like go back to Europe?
Ah, dude. I mean, I don't know if Luca's going to go back to Europe, but I can tell you this experiment is going to fail.
Right.
They weren't even in a place to really strike for the playoffs, but I can't see. I mean, this guy can't play with anybody. You know, he's a great talent on the court. He is nothing but a cancer in the locker room. I don't know what he's going to do in Dallas, but I'm happy
Probably
to
end
see
up
him go.
clashing with Cuban or
Yeah, I'm happy to see him go. He
I'm sure
definitely,
you are.
yeah, I'm over it. Like he brought KD to Brooklyn, and he brought some sort of respectability to the franchise, but he is a cancer. And I want to tell you a quick stat, Doug. In the 3.5 years that they were teammates, do you know who played more games of the two of them, Kyrie and KD?
How many years was it?
3.5 years that they were
I
together.
so
And mind you, KD missed the entire first
yeah,
year.
yeah,
Do you know who played more games for the
So,
Brooklyn Nets?
first of all, I thought you were going to ask the how many games did Harden, Kyrie, and Durant play together? We all know that was only 16.
Right.
Um, I mean, you're loading it up for the answer to be KD, even though he missed an entire year and pretty much gets hurt every year.
Yep.
Did I get it right?
KD missed an entire season and then was hurt every year after for an extended period of time. He played 159 games as a Brooklyn Net. Kyrie played all 3.5 years and played 157 games
It's
for
incredible.
not getting vaccinated, shoulder
Yeah,
at the end of whatever, opting out of the bubble to in 2020. So
it's like disappearing. Like,
yep, it's going. He
um,
didn't want to go to Portland and Detroit, so he took off, pulled a Rodman, and just took off for a couple days. Yep.
yeah,
So we get rid of him, and mind you, at the time, we're trying to bring people back to appease Durant to stay. So we bring back a point guard in Dinwiddie, who's a fan favorite. I still love Spencer. I'm
yeah,
happy he's here at the end of the day.
you should
But
be.
I think if we knew KD was going to go, and I think shame on management for not like having more conversations, then we could have had a different deal. They were talking, Kyrie was being talked about going to Phoenix. I think you could have packaged Kyrie and KD to Phoenix and gotten an even bigger haul than you did. So
Chris Paul
we
back.
get Dorian Finney-Smith, we get the first, the second, and we get Spencer Dinwiddie for Kyrie and Markeith Morris, whatever he was
Sure.
on the end of the bench doing nothing. And then we go out, we play. Cam Thomas starts showing that he's looks like he's capable of taking the lead scoring role for a team.
Big
I
week
think
for
that
him.
had a lot to do also with the decision. I think then KD said, "I don't want to be here. I want to win a championship. I'd like to go to Phoenix." And at that point, what are you going to do? Call up Phoenix, make the trade, get 4 unprotected picks and a pick swap, so 5 total. You get Cam Johnson, Michael Bridges, Jay Crowder, who you flip for 2 more second round picks.
Are you excited about Bridges or Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, this team is totally different now. They're
Yeah,
back to being the scrappy team. I like that
yep.
Jacques Vaughn is the coach.
They can
I mean,
defend and they
we,
can shoot now, right?
we're the best on paper. We're the best shooting team in the league
Yep.
and the best defensive team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're going to be an easy out. We took Chicago. We
Yeah.
took it to Chicago last night. That was a great game. Cam Thomas and Spencer had a great game. Showed them what they're capable of. I don't think we're winning a championship,
No,
but
but pain in the ass, lower seed, sure.
yeah, I think we're gonna we'll sneak in top 7. I think I don't think we're gonna fall that far because there's only 30 games left in the season, and the only thing is we have no like power forward. We're like a bunch of 3-and-D wings and a couple point guards and Nick Claxton. So I don't know. We're one of the most athletic teams in the league, and I'm not really worried about what we're going to do this year. But it just still blows my mind that Kyrie had a shot at a championship this year, a legitimate shot. I'm not going to say that we were the favorites, but we had a puncher's chance if everyone stayed healthy. KD comes back, and he blew it up to go to a team that he obviously had no control over where he got sent, but he's going to a team out of the playoffs, has to fight their way in, and he's playing with Luca, who is a huge ball handler, which is that's not a bad thing for Kyrie. He's off ball point guard, sure, like small, great scorer, great compliment. I don't know if they're going to play. I'm sure they're going to play at the same time, but when they're splitting the A and B squad, he can man that
Oh
second
yeah.
squad and keep them potent on the floor.
Yep.
But they gave up DFS. I think is a really one of the best 3 and D guys in the league, and
That's what I've heard. I can't speak personally, but yeah.
him and Michael Bridges. I mean, we got like
Yeah,
two of
yeah.
the
Bridges,
best,
I know is
the two of the best like
massive.
3 and D guys in the league, or at least defensive guys. And Cam Johnson's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league.
Right.
And now we have all that stuff. Whatever. I don't understand what we didn't do yesterday at the deadline. I don't know why we didn't trade Patty Mills or Joe Harris or
Those other
Seth
guys, yes.
Curry, because they're all kind of redundant guys that could have probably helped a contender. Maybe there wasn't an offer. I think we're good on second round picks for a while, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I'm glad. I guess I'm glad that the drama of 3.5 years is over. Uh, I think if we've learned anything, it's like player empowerment is not the best idea because I don't think they're GMs for a reason.
It's 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 probably the worst effects in the NBA because the team rosters are so small, obviously, and you only have 5 people on the court. Obviously, I'm saying very simple things, but the nature of the sport lends itself to superstars, and then once they get the power, this is what you're getting.
It's also the most of all the four major United States sports or North American sports. It's the most globalized.
Yes.
So there's more money in the NBA than all the other ones. The NFL is not a global game. Major League Baseball is not. It's an international game, but it's not a global game. Hockey has some appeal, but it's just not that big.
Okay. No, oh, it's not even close. And quick anecdote: my brother and I went to Tokyo in 2018. We woke up at like 6:30 or 7 in the morning to go to a bar to watch the finals. God, that might have been the one where LeBron came back against the Warriors. I forget what year it was, but I know the Warriors were involved. Anyway, so it's 7 a.m. on a weekday. We find a bar that's watching it. We walk in. We can barely get in the door. The whole
Right.
thing is packed with diehard fans. It was
Right.
really cool to see. Like everywhere you go, and the NBA is like that. I would argue they're probably well, other than soccer, right?
I
But the
don't. I
NFL
mean,
doesn't
they're
have that reach.
no, they're. I would say in terms of global popularity, soccer, football one, and the NBA is two, and that's why these guys know they can do whatever the fuck they want
Hmm.
because they have the power. They have the power, right? They want their money because they know they're splitting with the owners 51-50, and there's so much, or 51-49, and there's so much fucking money in that league because it's such a global brand that they know that these owners can fucking afford it. I
Yep.
mean, this fucking asshole just paid $4.5 billion for the Phoenix Suns, right?
Yeah. The
And
Suns.
I don't want to hear this a old adage of we buy teams because we can write off all the shit. I'm sure you can write off all the shit, but you buy teams because you make money.
Yeah. I
You're,
mean,
and
that's
it's
that
not the
stuff's an
ticket
expense.
sales. Yeah, it's not the
Right.
ticket sales. It's the merchandise and it's
TV
the
and merchandise.
licenses and it's the watching the games overseas, right? So come on, you're getting a piece of that YouTube, NBA TV, whatever the fuck it is, and so it's to me it's gone too far though. I mean, Sean built a great squad that would have been they were a scrappy team. They had a great culture. I don't know if they would have ever won a championship. They maybe would have got to the second round, maybe the third round, in a good year. But they were just they didn't have a superstar, and then we blew it all up to bring in the superstars, and then let the superstars kind of dictate who and what and where. But you know what? Now we're going back, and we got some nice young pieces now. I like Cam Johnson, I
Hmm.
like Michael Bridges, I like Cam Thomas. I love Spencer Dinwiddie as the starting point guard. Nick Claxton has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year,
Yeah.
um, and we've got some of these 3 and D guys now. And on top of that, we have so much roster flexibility that although we didn't move the players yesterday, there's no way we go into next year with the roster that's currently constituted. And pretty much everyone on the roster is got a deal through next year. So we're going to be able to move some of these guys and fill in some holes. I expect to see like Joe Harris, and I think Seth Curry is a free agent. So that's the one I didn't quite understand not moving. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of these guys are going to get moved for pieces of either draft picks or other pieces.
Two quick
And we'll
things.
see. Yeah.
What's the cap for next year? Very quick answer for
I want to say it's like
Oh, I'm
132
sorry.
million.
How's your cap space looking? I meant.
I mean, if we bring everyone back as currently constituted, I think we're over by like, you
Okay.
know,
So
6 million.
this is still a cap team, I guess, which makes sense because they had to make the trades work. Second, though, so we, and then we can move on. But well, final thing about Kyrie from my perspective. Um, he just more than once he had to get out of Brooklyn. What was it that he hated the most? Was it Sean Marks? Was it the ownership? What like
I don't think he hated anything. I think
he
Kyrie,
said he always had to get out. Like he just couldn't be there anymore, right?
he did
I
that.
figured it was Marks,
He
but
did that every stop. I think it was Joe Tsai. I think Joe Tsai and him finally were just butting heads because they're both alphas, right? But
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, he wanted a max contract, and he wanted them to kiss his ass to
back to
give
the
it to
money.
him. Yeah, it's all about the money, dude. If we had given him a max deal, he would have signed it, and he'd still be playing every other game for us.
There still would have been the nonsense, I'm sure.
That's why I said every other game instead of every game. He would. You get paid all this money. Fans want to show up and see you play. Clearly, they don't give a fuck about that, or he didn't. I mean, KD never really took. I will. Here's my one gripe with KD, and I gotta say, he's one of the greatest players of all time, great scorer. I think he's a horrible leader. I think he's never had to
Yeah,
be the leader on the team. I think when he's
I agree.
gone to a place like here, he was the leader and he let Kyrie do whatever Kyrie was going to do. I don't. You
Yeah,
think Jordan would have
that's
let that happen? You think LeBron would have let that happen on
it's a
under
good
his
point.
watch?
It's a good point. Like this, Brooklyn was his chance to be the captain, right?
Right.
He didn't get it done.
No, he didn't get done. So
Didn't get it done.
right.
Sorry, man.
So yeah. Hey, what are you gonna do? So back to the drawing board. I think we got a chance to move some more pieces in the offseason, draft a bunch of people. I think if Sean Marks has proven anything, he can unearth gems in the draft, and they don't need to be top picks. I mean, he did it with Cam Thomas, he did it with Nick Claxton, he did it with Jarrett Allen,
Yeah.
um, he did it with Karis LeVert. So, and these guys they weren't franchise altering, but he took guys that were like mid to late first round picks
Who
and
provided a
turned
lot
them
more value
into
than that slot. Yeah.
valuable players, and he's great at scrap heap guys. Look at Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Yuta Watanabe this year. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I don't want to butcher it. All those guys, those guys are scrap heap guys that he turned into rotation or starting NBA players that are coming along. And I still think he's got the eye. So I think Joe Tsai. Everything that I will say is like I think Joe Tsai is aligned with Sean Marks. I don't think Sean Marks is going to get fired because I think that would be the anti like what they just did. If the players were going to win, then Joe Tsai could have just fired Sean Marks, signed Kyrie and said, fuck it, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And I think there's owners out there that would have done that, to be honest with you. I think Joe Tsai just had enough of the bullshit, right?
You blame him?
And so no, I can't blame him.
Okay.
If he had given Kyrie the bag, I wouldn't blame him, and I would be annoyed because I got to watch as a fan another 4 years of this guy deciding when he wants to play and when he doesn't want to play. But if he had given Kyrie the bag and he had him and KD had 4 more years, who knows? But KD's turning 34, Kyrie's turning 30, 31. The time I think it was you weren't going to get more for Kyrie than you did just now unless you signed him, and I don't know if you would have gotten more for KD either. He's injury prone at this stage of his career, and he's 34. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to finish his contract and still be a great player. And I think the last couple of years after his contract's up, he'll probably go play somewhere he wants to play, and be not the alpha, and he'll team up with whoever, and who knows what happens. But not my concern any longer. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll start drafting good again. I really like Jock Vaughn. I think Jock Vaughn finally has gotten the chance to show what he's capable of as the coach. I think Steve Nash was a joke, and I'm glad that that is over. And I miss Kenny Atkinson, but I think Jacques Vaughn. I don't want to say this because I don't know if this is the right. I don't want to shit on Kenny Atkinson, but I think Jacques Vaughn is more relatable than Kenny Atkinson to today's player. So I think he's got. I think they're both good coaches, and I think Jacques Vaughn got a raw deal in Orlando on his first go around. I think Kenny Atkinson's kind of like a grinding coach,
Yeah.
and I don't think because he never played in the NBA, he's got a little bit. I think there's always that little bit less cred. He played
It's
overseas or
real,
whatever.
and
Yeah,
unless you're Lawrence Frank in like '08, but
that was a different team. That was Jason Kidd's team.
that was
Lawrence Frank was a great tactician, and I
he
think him
was
and
yeah he could
him
dive
and
pretty
him and
quick.
Kidd. I mean, he's a great basketball mind. I mean, look at he's the president of the Clippers now. So we got
Is
another
that
guy
where
we
he ended
shouldn't.
up? I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, he's like
that's cool.
runs the Clippers now. So
That's cool.
he landed on his feet. He's just fine. So
He coached
so
somewhere
yeah,
else
man.
after Jersey. I forget where.
He after
Oh,
Jersey, Lawrence Frank went
Charlotte
to
or something?
no.
Indy? No.
I think he went to the Clippers as an assistant coach, and he's just been there
Oh,
ever
really?
since. And then
He
he
didn't get like the Atlanta job or something. I don't know. That was a long time ago.
I don't think so. Maybe I don't think so. So
Jenny,
we
check on that.
we can go we can go back and look. Let's see. Is there anything on the live? Nope, still no fans on the live stream. So
Aw,
let's look up Lawrence Frank on YouTube. Let's just see. He's the president of the Clippers currently. He's
on YouTube.
52 years old. It's
Let's
not
get
too
after
bad.
basketball ref.
Yeah, no, he became the Celtics assistant for 2 years after he left us, and then the Pistons head coach
Yep.
for two
There you go.
years after that.
That's right.
And then he came back to be an assistant in Brooklyn, and then he became an assistant in for LA from 14 to 16, and he actually won Executive of the Year as the president of the Clippers in 2020.
Good for
So
him.
yeah, he's doing just fine. He's doing just fine.
Always fun to remember some coaches.
He was one of my favorite. Him and Laviolette are our guys that I always remember
Yeah.
fondly. Yeah. Speaking of that, good segue.
Good segue.
We so we had talked about
Bad segue. Bad team.
the Islanders trading for Bo Horvat last week,
Hell yeah.
but I don't think they had signed him to an extension at that point.
No, they hadn't. And
So
I don't think we were too worried, you and I.
I was more worried than you,
Yeah, I
but
actually had
yes,
faith in Lou not to do like really terrible thing and just throw assets away. But
yeah. Well, that's the
I
thing we said. Lou's never not gotten his man other than JT, and
whoa,
he came in at the very end, at tail end, so we don't blame him for that.
I well, he's definitely missed on a bunch of dudes.
I'm talking
Kyring,
about trading and signing
Kadri.
to
Oh, okay, like once
co-
they're here. Yeah,
yes, the guys that have been here, he's gotten his man in terms
it's
of
funny.
signing.
Like Long Island has always been like that, right? Remember when like Lubo and like what was that the goalie's name? Nabokov. Like they initially just didn't want to show up, and then they got to Long Island. They're like, oh, this is fucking great.
I mean, I lived on Long Island for 7 years.
Dude, I'm
It
from there, so
Yeah, it has some charm to it. There is some really beautiful things to Long Island. There's some really not beautiful things to Long Island,
yeah.
and it just depends on where you are and what you want to do and how you want to live. So,
Absolutely, taxes, politics, and traffic, but we won't get into that. Um, so anyway, yeah, Islanders lock up Horvat. Instant chemistry with Matt Barzell. I
and
love
what did
it.
they do with Matt Barzell?
Moved him to the wing.
And who's been saying that all show long?
It it makes a lot more sense when you have five centers. But yeah, props to Mike.
Yes. Well, I was saying,
Props to
hey,
Mike.
Bring in Kadri and move Barzell to the wing.
Yeah.
Did I not?
No, you were.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't sure if Matty and or if he'd throw a fit, but I think God, he looks re-energized, right?
Well, he even said it himself. Like, he doesn't have the defensive responsibility
Yeah,
to be all the way back deep in the defensive zone,
right.
and he can be on the
In
wing,
that center slot, yeah,
and he can take off, and he's gonna score so many more breakaway goals
yeah.
that we didn't even think about.
And not only that, I've been watching the dynamics close, and I don't know if this is Lane or just the players like working together, but you'll see when they're on the attack that Maddie will take the center and Bo will move to the wing if the situation calls for it. So I love it. Like the fact that they can go like that, if they can make that work, I mean, it's two world class players, and it's suddenly two really good scoring lines because Kyle Palmieri's woken up. That's all the good stuff I have to say about the Islanders. Last night just completely killed my vibe.
Yep.
It just completely killed it. Like that's one of those where you remember and you're like, yeah, that was the season ender. That one and the thing with Washington that they do every year where they go up 3-0 and lose it. And maybe the one where they were up going into the third against the Rangers in December. I think that might have started their tailspin. But last night was inexcusable. That was the worst defensive performance I've seen since the Doug Weight years. It was embarrassing. Romanov should be embarrassed. Dobson is a disaster in his own end this year. I don't know why. I don't understand it. Maybe it's the pairings. If Bolduc, we were texting. We were like, Bolduc's earned it. This is great. He's like stepping up, and I think he will. Don't get me wrong. I'm not as down on him, but like he was flubbing the puck. It made me realize that God, Sebastian Aho is like better than we think he is compared to these stiffs. I mean, Scotty Mayfield. I think you can't pay him a lot of money because we're cap strap going forward. So I think he's got to go. Long story short, in 3 years, this defense is really deteriorated unless like Pulock and Pellick and Dobson really like wake up. What do you think? It's just that's the
So
problem.
I think you nailed it. I think it was a season killing. It was season killing last night, and
And by the way,
I
for context, if anybody watches this, they were up 4-2 late in the second. They lost 6-5 last night to a team that is kind of tanking. They have one really good score, and that's it.
and they're not in the playoff hunt. The
Yeah, yeah.
Vancouver
I mean,
Canucks.
they traded us Horvat like last
Right.
week.
So here's what I think. I think once we signed Bo Horvat to the long term deal, anything else that happens this year is gravy. And I do think that Lou is going to assess this team in a real because he there. I read something a couple days ago where he's going to decide if we're buyers or sellers at the deadline. Horvat was a necessity regardless of how you want to look at it. Because Matt Barzell,
Right.
I don't care who you draft at whatever position we finish, he's not playing with Barzell until probably 3 years from now,
I agree.
maybe. So Bo Horvat is in a vacuum, right? We needed that, whatever we paid, and now that we got him signed to an 8-year deal to play next to Matt Barzell, who also has an 8-year deal starting next year, they are linked at the hip for
I
the
love
next
it.
8 years, and that's great. And I've
By the way,
already seen.
he's fun to watch. He's like I already like him as a player.
Yeah, I think he is the. I think he is like what we thought we would have gotten in Kadri, but younger and maybe not as nasty tough, but he's still tough. But I think
Yeah.
he's just a good top line center
I didn't
that
realize how good his shot has become and his offensive instincts. I, I,
he
I
can
was
do
like you.
everything.
I thought he was more like a defensive shutdown, but could pop a few in, more like the Kadri. But no, this guy knows how to score. Um, it's God. Remember the first day? I was like, what the hell is this trade? This team sucks. Like why are they making this deal? But all I had to see was a couple games. And by the way, if they had just won last night, I would have come in and be like, this team is a team you don't want to mess with in the playoffs. But after seeing that blue line, they're going to get abused. If they make it, they'll get abused by the Bruins or the Devils or the Rangers or God, the Lightning
I'd still
or
I'd
the
still like to
Leafs.
see. I'd still
Um,
love to see him get in the playoffs
I'd
because
love
I
to see
think
Sorokin in the playoffs because who knows? But
right.
Jesus Christ, I mean, that means you have to add to this blue line now. You're out of assets and you're in like ninth or 10th place.
So I think Lou, from my point of view,
Yeah,
I hope Lou, because I actually read that he was deciding over the course of the next few games because we still have
as he
almost
should.
3 weeks before the
Yeah,
trade deadline.
yep,
So he's deciding over the next 3 weeks. I think it's March 3rd this year on the trade deadline,
something like that.
whether we're buyers or sellers. He said that himself. I've never heard him say that before. So I think he realizes that there's some shit on this team that doesn't make sense. And I would love to move Varlamov, Mayfield, if you can trade Matt Martin, if you can trade Ross
Oh
Johnson,
yeah.
Zach Parise, and I think he'll go to those guys and be like, "Do you want to go to a contender, or do you just want to finish out your contract here?" Clutterbuck and Wallstrom are done for the year, but if he can move Bailey, I think he will. I don't know if he can, but
I mean, he's cruising for a buyout. But what was I going to say? Mayfield, I think you can get a little bit of value for at least.
well, they
Although
were already
I thought they should
talking.
have traded him last year.
Yeah, I think you can get a lot of value from Mayfield. He can fit on any team's cap, and he can slot in as your as
Playoff
your third
warrior. Yeah.
defenseman that's got playoff experience. A shutdown guy, not quite a shutdown guy, but he can play that role of a defensive defenseman, clear the crease.
Yep.
He's a big guy. So at 1.45, we're not. He's going to want 5 million a year next year. It's his last. It's probably going to be his last contract. I don't
He
know if
hasn't
he'll
looked
get
great
five.
this year either, man. Like
No, he hasn't
he's
been
been
great this
treading.
year, but he's gonna. Someone's gonna pay. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
just because we don't
That's
have
right.
cap room
Right.
doesn't mean that prices for players aren't going up.
100%.
He is a $3.5 to $5 million a year defenseman on a 4 to 5 year contract,
Yep.
coming off. Well, no matter even if he finishes the year as is currently constituted,
Yep.
he's not getting less than 3.5. I can guarantee you that, and that's too much for us right now.
If we give him that, I mean, like what are we doing? Like who are we trading away?
Right. So
Yeah.
I think Lou has finally seen, like, it seems like the window on the 2 years prior to this is closing. I think he knows Varlamov
I
isn't
think
going
he's
to be
about to
with this
close too.
team next year. We need to get rid of him. I hope, man, because we could be wrong, and Varlamov gets a 2 year like
Well,
$6 million deal, and
well,
Mayfield
yeah,
gets a
no. If he makes 3 or 2 next year, good, fine, whatever. I mean, we need a backup. I'll
right.
take him, but yeah, he can't be 5 mil, obviously.
But I think we can get. They're already talking about LA looking at him, and
Oh yeah,
if
yeah.
he
By all means, trade him. I'm saying bringing him back next year. If he wants to take 2.5,
I'm talking about this year at the deadline.
word.
I don't want to have the same shit that happened last year where we made zero moves. We re-signed Parise and
I'm
Clutterbuck.
not convinced he will sell. I'm not. But that's nice to hear that maybe he's being realistic. I mean, the worst case is something like him paying for Eric Carlson or something, and that's 4 more years after this. That would be like that's what do you call it? Bizarro Lou. Not
I don't.
Bizarro Lou. Like
I think.
adding more vets to this tire fire isn't going to fix it.
I also think that Lou realizes that we don't need an offensive defenseman. We have one of the best offensive defenses in the league. We need a defensive
Yeah,
defenseman. We need a defenseman that can
yeah.
shut people down. Not
Maybe not pass it unpressured right to the opposing team in the slot
right.
like Romanov did last night. Dude, he gives me a headache. If he has value, trade him. He is
I'd
fucking
say. I
bad.
mean,
Like, why was he worth that? What we paid? If he had
because he was.
if he had offensive upside, I could see it. And if he was a project, this dude has zero offensive game.
Right. But I disagree with you. He's 22 years old, and he was a middle six defenseman,
On the
a
worst team in
middle
the
pairing
league.
defenseman.
On the worst team
But
in the
he's
league.
still 22 years old, and he's still got, I mean,
I
when
know,
he
but
puts a hit on you, he plays
sure,
hard.
that's
And
that shit's awesome. But like,
I think you got to remember, he's 22 years
can he
old, Doug.
make like one like offensive play? Can he hit the net?
I'm not worried about that. If he becomes what Scott Mayfield was next year, and
Scott
for the
Mayfield's
past 3 years,
not worth 13th
not
overall. I don't know.
I don't know, Doug. I think you got to pay. You got to pay to get NHL ready players because what you're buying is the fact that they're in the league. You're
I'm not
not
sure
having
he's
to.
NHL ready. He's just not looking like it. I want to be wrong about this. I want him to turn it around. He fucking sucks right now.
Okay, okay. I
Last night fucking set me off, man. It did.
okay. Tell me how you
Last night
feel.
was a
I'm
very
listening.
tense night for all of us. It goes back to we're all having a bad week. Like that was embarrassing, man.
I luckily didn't get to watch 1 second of it. I actually
Oh,
watched
okay.
the.
That explains some of this. Okay.
Yeah, I watched this team last night. I watched this team beat the Chicago Bulls at home
I
with
don't know what was up
Cam
with
Thomas.
Sorokin, by the way, either. But
Yeah, I don't know how he lets in 5 goals. That's what my question was. Like, I
but
don't care how bad the defense is.
dude,
Why is he
the
letting in
defense
five
was
goals?
bad though. It was just like, what's a
Like
puck?
skating
What's a
past,
stick?
like when.
Which side of the stick do I hold?
Oh
It was
my
that bad,
goodness,
man.
Doug, you're hilarious. You're hilarious. So, what do you think? What do you think is the
Uh,
what's the end result this year? What are we doing? I think we're going to sell.
yeah,
I think unless we catch fire over the next 3 weeks and we forget about it. But I think you're right. I think last night's game was a nail in the coffin, and I don't know how you recover. Apparently, Lane Lampert like read the team the riot act after the game. But
sure.
what?
Flip over the buffet table, and I actually I did some notes for this show, so thanks for reminding me. I like you. I want Lou to sell. I do like the fact that you said that maybe he's thinking about it, so that's good. But I had a little thing that I wrote. Uh, in terms of like 100%, and two guys here, Lane and Lou. How much of the blame goes to each? And I'm like either 60-40 Lane or 70-30 Lane. I think Lane's had a bad year. Uh, it the, I, Going back to last night, there's really no plan in the defensive zone other than maybe all the forwards skate as fast as they can out of the zone and hope someone can connect. But at the same time, Lou put this defense together. Lou put this team together. So, what do you think? Who's are you on Lane right now?
I mean, I've seen the difference in what they play. They play a more up tempo style. They
Yeah,
definitely try a lot of home run passes to get out of the zone. They try a lot of cross ice passing to try and catch the defense, from going from one side to the other. I see what they do. I don't. Doug Hoot is the defensive coach. I don't know if he's got some blame in this, and maybe he needs to go. I don't know, man. Like it's Lane's first year. I think he was a very sought after coach. I don't. I honestly
you're
think
told.
my honest opinion is we got old.
Yeah.
We're not. You can blame the defense. Sure, you got Pulak and Pellick. Pellick's coming back from a fucking bad concussion, so I don't know if he's
Yeah,
100%.
I'm giving him a
Pulak
pass.
is
He's looked bad this
Pulak.
year, though.
Pulak's been okay.
Yeah,
Dobson's been okay. Romanov, as you just said, stinks. Mayfield's okay, and fucking Aho is okay, and Bulldog is
yeah.
okay.
Like you don't want
But we're
Aho
also we
in a
got
playoff
three
series.
very young guys that are all 22 and under playing, and then we got two guys who are 1 and 2. That one's coming off a concussion in the
Yeah,
hockey is really hard. Like I think a lot of these guys come back way too fast,
yeah.
and I
He
think he
doesn't. He
probably
doesn't
needs
look right.
no, he probably needs the rest of the year to like take off.
I wouldn't mind.
Pulak, I think Pulak is the guy that plays better when Pellick is playing at his best. And as far as Mayfield goes, he's getting old.
Yeah. By
And
the way, I wouldn't give him a lot of years. Like what?
no, I think I want to trade him. He is a guy that like he's not going to age well. And
And again,
so
there's no offensive like upside much, or there
no,
isn't
bring
much.
it. I mean, I think you still got Grant Hutton. I'm not saying he's like there. I don't know what the fall off is between there, but
Right.
I'm sure we could sign
I mean,
a.
Watherspoon hasn't looked terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's the lefty righty thing for that for whatever, and he's a righty,
No,
but I don't know who's a right. I know
good
Weatherspoon is a
catch.
lefty, and Aho's a lefty, and I think Bulldog is Bulldog a righty or a lefty? He's a lefty because he played with
Bulldog's fine.
Dobson.
Like that. We finally have a lefty. Remember, that's been a problem.
Yeah. So if
Kind of like
Bulldog
Rick.
if Bulldog can slot in with Dobson and Pulak and Pellick, and then you got Romanoff and whoever you can find to play on the right, and however you want to mix that up. So honestly, that's what I think, man. I think that we're just Anders Lee hasn't looked the same. Paul Mary's been out for most of the year with. I think he also had a concussion. Wallstrom
He look
hasn't
to be
played in
fair.
months.
He looks better.
Clutterbuck's been out for he's out for the year. Sezikis is fine, but he's playing with Martin, who is a fucking stiff. Ross Johnston, I don't know why we gave this guy a 4-year deal because he can't even get on the ice. And then you just got an old
That's the
team, dude.
fashion.
Bailey looks old, and we played a grinding
Yeah,
style. We
Bailey's
played a
great.
grinding style under Barry Trotz for 4 years,
These guys are
and
tired. That's what you're saying.
dude, that takes a toll on these players.
No, it
It's
does.
not like it's not like we've moved guys in and out of the lineup. We are playing with the same guys that were going deep into the
Yeah.
conference final, and they were hitting
Oh,
everybody.
sure, but like
So
it's weird that they've strayed so far away from the defensive magic that Trotz made, and I just like I figured once they started to decline, they would go into a shell, and like every game would be 2-1, and to be fair, like a lot of Islanders games are. But this is like Lane trying to be like wheeling and dealing with,
He
as you
is. He's
say,
trying to
guys who are a
create
little bit worn
offense.
down. And yeah, it's a bad combo, especially when the defense is not as experienced and you're leaving them like hung out to dry against four checkers when all your forwards jump the zone
Right.
all the
I
time.
think that's the big difference in the game plan is that we're not forechecking nearly as much as we have been in the past. We don't back check. And
And there's no help on the back end
no, so we
to
are
help
leaving
us.
the defenseman on an island.
Hmm.
And we got some inexperienced defensemen, and we got some old defensemen, and we got some injured
Yeah.
defensemen.
So
So that's what
all
I.
in all,
That's what.
it's not a great team. It's a mediocre team.
No, it's
So
it's
so don't buy.
it's. Don't
Don't buy
buy.
into
I
this.
don't. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna buy. Look, you saw the price for Tarasenko yesterday.
No,
What are we gonna do? We're gonna go out and get Patrick Kane to play on the right wing and
no.
pay like
I,
another first round pick in
Timo
2024.
Meyer's going to Jersey, by the way. Everybody get ready for that.
Whatever, man. I don't. That's fine. That's cool. Good
Jersey
luck and
Renaissance. It's underway.
good luck. Good luck. But I would like to sell Doug, and I hope that Lou has
Yeah,
enough
I do too.
thoughts to do the same. So, listen, Dougie, it has been a great show today.
Oh, you're
I
cutting it
am,
already.
I am running. Yes, I am running up against another obligation that I have. So
You're two timing me on that other podcast. I get it.
it's not a podcast. It's actually a work meeting. Back to that fucking great work week I'm having. It's still at
No,
2:30 on a Friday.
I think we
So
should all drink at work on Fridays. All of us as a country unite,
yes,
get stuff done,
revolt.
and then drink a bit.
Yeah, just loosen up. So, Dougie, what do you got to say? If you don't got one, I definitely got one.
Oh no, no. I'm gonna pass this to you because I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
Via con.
bio con Dios to the big three: Kyrie, KD, and fat guy with the beard. I hope none of you win another championship.
I don't
Kyrie,
think they
I
will.
hope I hope that you tank the Dallas Mavericks and the entire state of Texas hates you. KD, I hope you get close and you don't win it just because you're a terrible leader. And James Harden, I just hope you don't win it because I hate Philadelphia and you're fat. So,
Oh, a Super Bowl pick, Chiefs. Guess we have to root for them,
I actually think the Eagles are going to win,
Yeah, I could
and
see that.
I actually don't hate the Eagles. I know for you to hear that that's hard.
No,
I hate
no, it makes
Philadelphia,
sense.
but I don't hate Jalen Hurts. I think the kid is a good little QB prospect, and I want to see what he can do.
He's a great story. But yeah,
Yep.
fuck Philly.
Fuck Philly. All right, Dougie. It's great talking with you. We'll see you next week, audience. Till next time.